Hello and welcome to Tennis Fair Play's first video interview series, sitting here with Mark Healy, CMO for Tennis Canada, on the aftermath of a bold and daring launch. Less than 24 hours ago, Tennis Canada walked down the red carpet to unveil its new look, complete with logo, profile page, and a rebranding mission across the country. Mark, now that your site is live, tell us how you feel today about conquering such a quest.
I feel proud and I feel a bit relieved, to be honest. I felt a lot of responsibility to get this right. We started this journey 6 months ago. It was an enormous team that put in almost around the clock effort for 6 months, and we went coast to coast. We talked to Canadians, we talked to players, fans, moms, kids, coaches, and I want to make sure that we got this right for the community.
Well, I'm sure you can share with our viewers that you've had tremendous response, great feedback. Anything to share with our viewers on the...
Knock on wood, the response so far has been very good. I would say, two things. The response has been uniformly positive. You'd hope so, but in this day and age, and I was speaking with our digital agency yesterday and a lot of our folks internally, it's not uncommon, and people make fun of anything, and yes, people take shots at almost anything, and so it wouldn't be uncommon to have gotten some of that, and we got none of it yesterday.
So you broke the mold. You got it right.
Yeah, we tried to break the internet.
Bravo. How does Tennis Canada propose to become a world-leading tennis nation?
It's a good question. It's a very strategic question for us. If you go back 8 years ago, there was a strategic plan that was put in place that was very focused on high performance. The decision at that time was to really try to produce world-class athletes, have them perform on the world stage to inspire the next wave. That strategy was complicated. It involved hiring coaches from overseas, established national training centers, regional training centers. All these years later, I think you could pretty safely say that the strategy was successful. Milos and Jeannie and Bashik and Daniel are really not an accident. It took a huge team to make that happen and for those athletes to perform. But that was really the start, and so now we're entering the next phase of strategic planning. We're talking about continuing on the high performance path, but at the same time widening our strategy to make sure that grassroots is really covered, and taking a sort of 25 to 50 year view, we want to make sure that we have really taken advantage of the situation that we're in, and we get a whole new wave of kids out there playing tennis so the cycle continues. So
as Kelly Mermit's comment, more rackets in hand, Mark?
More rackets and more hands more often, that's the game.
Good. Well, you're on the right path to accomplish your goal. Mark, I also, in your reference to Humanize Tennis, which is an interesting choice of words. I really like that statement. Can you expand for our viewers?
Sure. We heard from the community, hey, Tennis Canada, you do a fantastic job of profiling and covering the professional player. And I think in the past, our sport and ourselves, I think we've been a bit guilty of really putting that athlete on a pedestal and profiling them in a bit of an aggressive way. The shots are often teeth bared, racket ready for a smash. Yeah. Our athletes, of course, are beautiful and they're perfect, 0% body fat. And I think for some folks out there, kids, moms, seniors, it's actually a bit of an intimidating image, and so we're trying to round the corners off a bit. And when we started the rebranding process, we actually went way back to scratch and said, let's start with values and principles. Let's not start with aesthetic. And what we heard loud and clear from the community is, tennis is really underpinned by some noble values: grace, honor, discipline, perseverance, family, and we want to make sure that everything that we do really captures that and reflects the person that you become, that tennis helps you become. So that's what Humanizing Tennis is about. It's trying to be a bit a bit broader and a little bit less aggressive in our approach to displaying tennis.
And I think that image is extremely appealing and it will definitely entice more people to adopt tennis as a sport of choice. What are the keys to that accessibility?
I think we still hear that tennis has a bit of a perception problem in places, that it is seen as elitist.
Right.
And if you look at the facts, just the straight math, it's really not true. You can be playing tennis for $30, but we want to make sure that we fight off that image. And so, we're focusing a lot on families, and a lot on the idea of fairness in sort of two ways: fairness across social classes, across age groups, across demographics, but also fairness on the court. I had this conversation with a gentleman in Montreal, and he was talking to me about how important preserving the integrity of line calling is in tennis. It's just a simple thing, but when we think of tennis, we think of it as the true exemplar of sportsmanship, where there's no one else, there's you and another person out there, and grace and honor are a big part of tennis. And so we want to make sure that part of what we're doing is try to maintain the integrity of the actual rules of play, so that we don't have some of the issues that other sports have had creep into our sport.
So restoring the grace.
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of tennis. I think tennis rightly can stand alone in putting up its hand and say, these are the things that we stand for. We're not about aggression, and we're not about winning at all costs. That there are fundamental principles that tennis believes in, and tennis teaches you as a person, that are good for you in business, at your church, and other parts of your life.
Well, as Tennis Fair Play's mandate, play fair. Mark, in your Live the Moment campaign, what do you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, we're very proud of this campaign. We actually started in the fall with a campaign called Tennis Is, and we wanted to get legitimate input from the community on what the community was looking for in terms of tone and tenor from us. So this is a bit of an answer, actually, to the community to say, we listened, we heard you, it's reflected in the campaign. Now we'd like you to share your moments with us. The underpinning of the campaign is really about these inflection points, these key moments in a match, triumphant moments, crushing moments, and really your response tells a lot about you as a person.
Yes,
and so we're trying to capture those moments from the community and reflect them back. It's one thing to lead, but we want to make sure that we're part and parcel of the community, and that we're engaging back and forth, and this is an opportunity for our constituents really to participate with us.
So using those defining moments on courts, when you're challenged, keeping your composure, and staying fair.
Yeah, how do you respond in a moment of adversity? How do you rise to that and stay true to yourself? I think it's an important question. I think it's a beautiful part of the sport.
Mark, has there been any discussions at Tennis Canada over building more indoor facilities in this mandate to grow the sport of tennis in Canada? It's
a very active debate and a big part of our strategy going forward. We feel strongly that we're in the facilities advocacy business, and that we need to be a partner in the process. We're not really in a position to be true owners of facilities, but we can facilitate the process. If you look at Alberta, we have a board member, Ron Getter, and the local folks in Alberta with Tennis Alberta have really led the charge on a new facility. It's right in the community. There are about 12 schools within walking distance of it. It will be fantastic. It'll be a very good model, which we hope will propagate across the rest of the country. I believe it's 10 courts. 10. And and so we have other key markets that we know are lacking in indoor facilities. It's one thing to focus on court utilization during the outdoor season, and that's a focus as well. But we know if we're really going to grow, it's winter in this country 6 months a year, we need more indoor facilities. And so we have some key markets that we're focused on now, but really the entire country needs more indoor facilities.
According to Statistics Canada, the majority, 86.2%, of people in Canada live in BC, Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec. Mark, does Tennis Canada plan on an even distribution of resources to all 10 provinces?
Yeah, it's a tricky question. Obviously, the reality of our geography comes into play, and we know what the population distribution looks like. And so we have to be aware of that. On the other hand, we have a national mandate, and it's really important for us to grow tennis across the country in some key spots. And there are places that are more facilities challenged because of resources and population growth than other places. And so we don't want to make sure that those folks feel left out or get left behind. And so one of the ways we tackle that is with our very, very strong federation. We've established incredibly strong ties with our Provincial Tennis Association partners, so that the Tennis Saskatchewans and Tennis Nova Scotias of the world, and we work very closely with them to make sure that all of our metrics are actually aligned with their metrics, and that's a process we call TPM. And so we set participation and fan interest targets with the provinces, and then work with every one of them to make sure that those numbers are coming up.
Wonderful. So the provincial tennis associations would be an extension of Tennis Canada?
Yeah, we see them as partners. They are independent entities, and that's good. They understand their local demographics and their local populations better than we ever will. But right. We want to make sure that we're all working together and sharing best practices, amplifying our resources to get the best results.
Is there funding allocations per province?
There are funding formulas. They're quite even and quite fair.
You stated that Tennis Canada wanted to reach new players. Where do you see the growth in the next 2 years?
Yeah, we think there's certainly a whole generation of kids that are, and we see it through the data, that are very inspired by what Milos and Eugenie and Vasek are doing out on the world stage. So we think that represents a tremendous growth opportunity for us. At the same time, two other demos. So seniors, tennis is on the rise. The sports science is quite definitive here that tennis is excellent in that population for hand-eye coordination, which has spillover effects into other parts of life. And then with the new immigrant population in Canada, often those folks are coming from cultures where tennis is central, and so we should be able to win growth in those populations.
Correct. And the aging population dictates that there'll be a lot more people retired wanting to play tennis.
We hope so, yes.
On that note, according to the most recent population projections, by the year 2016, the number of seniors aged 65 and older would be greater than the number of children under the age of 15. And women, by the way, still live longer, Mark. So more than half of the seniors will be comprised of women, and the life expectancy is 81 years of age. So if nearly 1 in 6 Canadians is age 65 and older, does Tennis Canada plan to target seniors specifically?
We 100% plan to, and we think that there's actually a very nice logistical fit here. So if you look at court utilization rates in general and times of day, typically you see spikes early in the morning, after work, and in the evenings, because that's when kids are not in school, that's when adults are not working. Mm-hmm. You tend to see more open court time during the day, and so we think there's a really nice fit here with the aging population, who in theory will have more time during the day.
Correct.
And so we should be able to maximize court utilization without having to build a whole lot of new facilities, and everybody will win here.
Non-prime time hours, discounts.
Exactly.
Seniors discounts. On the health and quality of life topic, Mark, tennis has a social, emotional, and physical beneficial effect, as you know, which leads us to your in the moment media campaign. Is there anything else that you would like to add prior to us resuming this interview?
I think, just to expand on the 3 benefits, the physical benefits of tennis are quite obvious. Having said that, the combination of aerobic, anaerobic, and hand-eye is fairly rare. In most sports, you're going to get 1 or 2 of the 3 and not all 3. On the social side, at some point you necessarily have to play tennis with another human being. You have to stop hitting it against your garage door. And we see lots of data that says healthy communities tend to grow around tennis, which is fascinating. And then the emotional side we've spoken a lot about today, but to reinforce it, the life skills and the life lessons that we think tennis imparts on people are unparalleled. The idea of sportsmanship and calling your own lines, the idea of being a gracious and an honorable loser is incredibly important. The idea of family and the idea of perseverance. We think that these emotional benefits are tremendous, and if you look at the populations of tennis players who are successful on the court, that tends to translate into other places in their life.
Yeah. So tennis is a part of the community. It lends itself well to get people out of the home, off the computer, outdoors, socializing, staying fit. And
it's very Canadian if you think about it. It's it is kind of ironically. I mean, we have some other sports that are very associated with the Canadian persona and Canadiana, but if you think about all of what tennis stands for, it is very Canadian.
Absolutely. Mark, on behalf of Tennis Fair Play members and viewers alike, I would like to thank you for your time today. We look forward to participating and supporting our Davis Cup champions, our team. They're here. It's this weekend. Are you excited?
I am excited. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone in BC for being very gracious hosts this week.
Thank you.